What's up, everybody, and welcome to Podcasting with Power. We're chugging along here. I got a little bit of the sniffles. I don't know about you, but they're hitting me.
Yeah, I have a sore throat today. I'm trying
Yep.
to not have the bad voice.
Yeah, well, we'll do our best, but
Yeah.
we appreciate you guys listening all the same. Other than a sore voice, Jordan, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I have to say, pretty good. It's been a shit week, but hey.
When is it not? I did not introduce us. I'm Zachary Davis. That's Jordan Carlson. Have you been playing anything during this shit week?
Yes, I have. And it's still kind of the same as, I think it's the same as like times, I know time is relative, but man, oh man, I don't even feel the passage of it,
Sure.
Borderlands, still a lot of Borderlands.
Okay.
But I've actually been playing a couple of weird games. I played Storebound.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did it come out recently, maybe?
There's a demo.
Okay.
So there's a demo for it. And I played through that last week, and you're basically in an IKEA and you've got to find your way out. I was playing with our pal Keenan. And
okay. That's why I know the name. Yeah, I saw you guys doing that. That's fun.
But outside of that, I've just been kind of dabbling around with different indies and honestly playing a little bit more handheld through the week.
Okay.
Fall, Pokemon for some reason comes up to me a lot. So
yeah, I mean, this time next week we'll be we'll be playing it. So
cannot wait.
Yeah, and then the following week we'll do a whole big episode for the folks out there. But yeah, I'm excited. That's very, very close.
Oh my god, I know. Cannot wait. What have you been playing? So
I have, as predictable as I am, I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Yotei.
Oh yeah.
On Saturday, I got up. Kali had a pedicure, so she left kind of mid-morning, I got up, did some things around the house, and then I played that game from noon till about 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so good, dude. It's great. I liked the first game a lot, but for the people out there, you play as Jin Sakai in that game, and you're kind of a samurai that wants to be ninja-like, but that's dishonorable, so you kind of struggle with that. And there is kind of like a whole moral thing with the way you play that game. And I felt like I kind of had to roleplay when I was doing that. Ghost of Yotei does away with that, which is awesome. Atsu is just a fun character who does whatever she wants, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm killing people all sorts of different ways, different weapons.
No, I've honestly, like I said last week, I was excited for you to play that more because I myself am so interested. So, and I mean, I know you're one to sit down and play a game for a long time, but I don't remember the last time you've told me that you've played a game.
It's been a long time since I've done something like that. The first one had a lot of similarities to like an Assassin's Creed game, right? A lot of things on the map, and that still exists. But this game looks like it feels like it borrows so much more from like that Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom style, where like if you see something cool and you go explore it, you will be rewarded in one way or another for it. The game's absolutely beautiful. I'm playing on just a base PS5, so I assume if you have a PS5 Pro, that's even better. Looks great, runs great. Highly recommend. It'll never be on Switch 2, but that's okay. That's all right. I have been playing a little more Galaxy 2 as well. And I gotta be honest with you, I've finished two of the worlds worth of levels here. I don't know if I like this game very much, which is crazy because at the time I really liked the first Galaxy, and I've talked about how when I revisited that game a couple years ago, I didn't like it as much. But this one feels like even worse than that.
Oh man.
And I'm gonna tough it out. I'm gonna go through it, but I don't know. I've always heard that this game is like all killer, no filler compared to the first Galaxy. And I don't know if I agree.
Oh, geez.
So, I did also want to shout out on the top here. I talk every once in a while about these NSO icons that you can get with your little gold or silver, whatever coins you get. And every month they've been doing one where they take like a game that's on Switch Online somewhere, one or two, and they put these icons out for them. And what I love about the older ones, the SNES, Game Boy, that kind of era, is they use like the instruction booklet art or, you know, any of that kind of concept art. And so I have cool ones from like Link's Awakening and Link to the Past and all that. This month for October, they've done Mario Party 3, which are those horrible like 3D renders, Mario, Luigi, Peach, all that stuff. But then they also have Super Supercross for the SNES that I talked about when it got mouse support. And these are awesome. They're like hand drawn. You got Mario and Wario doing the little Picross things. It's great. I just wanted to shout that out. That I can't believe that they bothered to do that, but here we are.
Oh, okay. Whenever somebody says, I'm never sure if it's like Picross or Picross.
I don't know. You know,
I don't know either.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say it out loud.
I don't think I have. I think you're the first.
You
for
just
me.
now, and then me. Yeah. So that's it. But yeah, they've kind of been on a tear with these lately. There's some really cool. In the past few months, we've got like Super Metroid and F-Zero, and so I'm really liking the NSO icons lately. But we have a fun show for you today. But let's take care of the boring stuff and then jump in. Podcasting with Power is an independent podcast made by the two of us, and your support goes a long way. You can watch PWP on YouTube and Spotify, or listen on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Wherever you are, we'd really appreciate if you'd follow, like, comment on, or review the show. You can keep up with us on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and more at Pod with Power. We post show updates, clips, and anything else we think you might find interesting. So check that out and help support the show. So in Nintendo news this week, I've got 4 stories. But before we get into the first story here, I want to ask you, have you dabbled at all with the Nintendo Today app? You aware of this? It came out a couple months ago. Every day they post some little either news story or little comic or something. There's always something on there every day. They announced that Splatoon, I can't ever remember what the subtitle is of that, but they announced that there just on like a random Tuesday. But let's get into story number 1. Nintendo goes full Pixar in strange new animated short film, Close to You. This is by Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. I'm going to read the original story and then the update that came today. Nintendo has released a surprise new short film called Close to You, and it's not what we expected from the House of Mario. Initially shared on the Nintendo Today app before cropping up on YouTube and socials, the short follows a baby that learns to take its first steps via the magic of a sentient dummy, or pacifier, if you'd rather. It feels very Toy Story. The animation style has big Pixar energy to boot. But the strangest part of it all is how it feels very un-Nintendo. There's no Mario to be seen. The baby doesn't stumble past some Joy-Con at any point. There's not even a Pikmin cameo. Or is there? It feels to us like there's something missing in the short. Don't you get the impression that we should be seeing something carrying the dummy or pushing the blocks? Do we spy something moving under the bed in the background around a minute 38? Doesn't the music sound a little too Pikmin coded? The whole thing has a whiff of an invisible Pikmin scheme to us, but hey, that's just a theory. And then, of course, you go on the app today. This is Thursday, the 8th, for those listening later. And Nintendo has replaced that video with a new video. So here's the update to that story. Nintendo has dropped an updated version on Nintendo Today of yesterday's short film, Close to You, with a few significant differences of the plant-like kind. Yep, as many suspected, Close to You is related to Pikmin, and today's version of the video features tons of them. There's also a lot more music to accompany the short, too. So no magic, dummy, no Mario movie promo, it's all Pikmin. Is this a new game? An animated series? We still have no idea. So have you seen this video floating around the internet, Jordan?
I have.
Did you see it yesterday before we got the Pikmin reveal today?
I did. Actually,
Okay.
I hadn't seen the Pikmin version until just now. So
Okay. So when you saw this drop yesterday with nothing, because there's never any context for this stuff. They just drop it and they're like, figure it out. What did you think when you saw this thing yesterday?
I honestly had no idea what to think. I was like, I think one of our mutual friends had shared it, and I was like, what is this? And then I moved on.
Yeah.
I was like, not for me.
Yeah. So I didn't actually watch it yesterday. I did watch the one today with the Pikmin in it. But seeing the stills and stuff, the thumbnail, I assumed it had something to do with the Mario Galaxy movie. The little girl in the short looks a lot like Rosalina, has, similar hair, eyes, all that kind of stuff. So I thought this makes some sense. But then I was seeing rumblings of people talking about, hey, is there a blurry Pikmin in the background there? all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, I watched the video today and it's full of these little fuckers. Like, and like so many of them, you know?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
unclear if the humans see them or not. I don't know.
I'm happy to see it, because honestly, before, like, I was confused. I was very confused. I don't know what this was going to be for. I just kind of filtered it. You know, like sometimes you'll just move on from something and not even think
Yeah.
about it. You're like, it'll make sense. Like I let it
Right.
go. Never came back to it. Now it makes sense. But again, though, I wonder what it is. Still,
Same here. I almost wonder if we're gonna get a part 3 tomorrow. Um, and you know that'll be old news by the time this posts, but that might be the case. Yeah, I don't know if we're getting some Pikmin related announcement. They did buy, I think, the studio that did these old Pikmin shorts, and they want to do some sort of animation thing. So I don't know. We'll see, and we'll. I'm sure we'll talk about it when it comes up. But just a weird little thing to see and not have any idea about.
yeah.
Story number 2. Nintendo Switch 2 supports 2 types of NVIDIA DLSS, a second light version for upscaling beyond 1080p, along with the standard PC-like CNN model. This is from Hassan Nasir at Tom's Hardware. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the only mainstream console that comes with NVIDIA hardware inside, while Microsoft and Sony rely on AMD. Therefore, the Switch 2 supports NVIDIA's proprietary DLSS technology that helps it upscale games to 1080p and beyond, which is crucial in a handheld with power constraints. It was long speculated that the version of DLSS present on the Switch 2 was unique and unlike the standard models available on PC, and Digital Foundry's latest testing has confirmed that. While looking at a diverse selection of titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Street Fighter VI, Hogwarts Legacy, Star Wars Outlaws, The Tourist, and Fast Fusion, Digital Foundry observed that there are 2 different DLSS models at work. First up, there's, quote, Fat DLSS, that resembles the CNN-based model found on PC, and this can only upscale games to 1080p. It has a cleaner, sharper image and motion, less artifacting, better anti-aliasing, and smoother camera cuts. Objects move in and out of the motion almost identically to how they would on PC, which is to say, gracefully. But, as mentioned, it's limited to 1080p. To go past that resolution, NVIDIA and Nintendo have developed a special, quote, DLSS Lite, which can upscale to greater resolutions. Remember, the Switch 2 is marketed for up to 4K when docked. This version looks better in stills, but loses sharpness as soon as you move because reconstruction techniques get temporarily disabled. It introduces artifacts where you can see unfiltered pixels and at the benefit of half the frame time cost, which allows it to scale way past 1080p. And, you know, it talks a little more technical talk in there. But I thought this was an interesting story to include just because it kind of explains some of the magic of the Switch 2, how it all works. And I don't know. I think it's a good sign that they've got at least 2 different models to work with as far as getting these ports. They mention a lot of different third-party ports here in the story. Knowing that this is kind of doing the things that modern GPUs are doing on the PC side, do you feel like this is a good sign for Switch 2 ports?
I think so. And I feel like there's probably a lot of people that disagree with that, though. I mean, because you got your NVIDIA and AMD, crowds, but
Yeah.
I am an NVIDIA fan myself.
I am as
So
well.
I think that this is pretty comforting. And obviously, well, it doesn't matter which side you go on, it's well supported, obviously. But I am happy to see that it's I just have some more insight on it. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I know the games they list here, for the most part, I guess I really haven't experienced any of these firsthand, but it seems like for everything I've heard, these do all look and perform pretty well on Switch 2. We talked about Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk, people like that. Friend at work plays Street Fighter on the Switch. He likes that. So I think this is a good sign, and excited to see what third-party devs do with it. The story does mention, I didn't get to this part, it mentions that none of the first-party Nintendo games use this technology, either one, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't got too many at this point, but I wonder if at some point, maybe later in the Switch 2's life, we'll see that.
And I think that's why it's comforting, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're looking towards the future. I feel like a lot of people were just like the Switch 2 is just a prettier Switch 1. So I mean, like, just knowing what else is out there and knowing what we're doing for, what we're looking at ahead to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what really counts. So yeah.
Well, let's see if this third party is interested in using this tech. Story number 3. Quote, they exist. Red Dead Redemption 2's PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch 2 versions are still happening, it's claimed. This is by Jordan Midler at Video Games Chronicle. Reports of a remaster of Red Dead Redemption 2 have swirled for some time. As one of the final major releases on the last generation of consoles, many expected it to migrate to PS5 and Xbox Series in the same way that GTA 5's Xbox 360 and PS3 release was followed up by a PS4 and Xbox One port. However, nothing has materialized. Now, it's claimed in response to a post on X, Nate the Hate 2, who has a record of reporting information about video games before official announcements, said that the much-desired ports of the game, quote, exist. Yes, they exist, he wrote on X. I have no update on timing for release. Earlier this year, it was claimed that Rockstar's Cowboy Epic was coming to Nintendo Switch 2 as part of Take-Two's wider support of Nintendo's new machine. Red Dead Redemption 2 was first released on PS4 and Xbox One in October 2018, before making its way to PC in November 2019. So this is an interesting one. It does feel like that game kind of got left behind despite selling as well as it did and being as popular as it was. Do you think it's time for Red Dead 2 to make a comeback and on Switch?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exciting. To be honest with you, I consistently forget how old Red Dead 2 is.
I know, seeing 2018 on there, it's like, wow, that...
Like, my God, yeah. I can't believe. But I mean, like, God, what a good game. And I kind of love that because I had my fun with it. So now if it comes out for Switch 2, you better believe I'm going to pick that
absolutely.
up. You know?
It's old enough that, I would love to. I think about revisiting it every once in a while, and I haven't since it initially came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those Rockstar games that you'd love to see carry forward. I would love GTA 5 on Switch 2.
Oh, man.
I really would. That's another one that I would like to play through again.
Okay.
And I'm a little worried that if we don't get it before GTA 6 comes out, we never will. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those titles you just, once you got that next one, it's over.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been thinking about getting that the definitive trilogy of the PS2 GTA games for Switch. I had played a couple of them on Xbox. I played through Vice City and most of 3. But
the remasters?
Yeah. But I'd like to do San Andreas as well.
They've patched the shit out of those now, haven't they?
Yeah, recently. I think they just updated them on all of the platforms, and I think people are pretty happy with them.
I do. Do you know, what are they going for right now, price-wise? Do you recall?
When I see them go on sale, depending on the platform, they're somewhere between I want to say $22 and $30.
I know, because at one point they were selling some of them separately or something.
I
feel like I remember seeing like them split up or something. I don't remember what console or it wasn't PC, I don't think, but I remember feeling extremely enticed because I'm like, I'm really only interested in Vice City and San Andreas specifically. But I don't know. I'm interested though to kind of revisit those. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I would love some RDR 2. I honestly, I should get the port of the first game. I haven't played that one in forever either. That is available on Switch.
They really did John Marston wrong, man.
I mean, that's the fun of it all, though, right?
I mean, he was such a badass, and then they just ragged on him.
It's the way of the West. Where are we at here? Story number 4. Nintendo denies lobbying Japanese government over AI. Will, quote, take necessary actions over IP rights. This is by Gavin Lane at Nintendo Life. Nintendo has posted a short statement denying that it has lobbied the Japanese government on the subject of generative AI. The post on X was made following a tweet by Japanese politician Satoshi Asano, who originally claimed that the company had been lobbying the government on the subject of generative AI. Here's the full statement as posted in English following the original Japanese version. Contrary to recent discussions on the internet, Nintendo has not had any contact with the Japanese government about generative AI. Whether generative AI is involved or not, we will continue to take necessary actions against infringement of our intellectual property rights. Mr. Asano has since deleted his original post and issued apologies. This comes as controversial generative AI technology is being used increasingly in the field of game development, and soon after OpenAI's Sora 2 went online and was quickly filled with unofficial video clips created via user prompts featuring Nintendo characters. Back in April, on the topic of generative AI, Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser said, quote, we still believe that what makes our game special is our developers, their artistic capabilities, and their insight into how people play. So there's always going to be a human touch and a human engagement in how we develop and build our games. First off, before we talk about the subject at hand, have you seen these videos people are making with Sora 2 featuring Nintendo characters?
No, I don't think that I have, but I'm just, what are they making?
So what I spotted was a trend of people basically recasting movies with Nintendo characters. So I saw like a Saving Private Ryan as like with Pikachu in it. I saw like a Star Wars clip with Mario and Luigi and the Millennium Falcon, stuff like that. Which is crazy. So obviously there's going to be a lot of figuring out the legal hoops of all this stuff as the technology develops. But I thought this was interesting. This rumor that kind of started to swirl that Nintendo was actively trying to take this to the Japanese government. What do you think about that?
I think that's so Nintendo.
It does, right? Like when you hear that, you believe it. So
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I get why they felt like they had to come out and be like, no, we're not actually doing that. But
Right.
I did hear that earlier the week and was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember that extremely popular Twitter, the tweet of, it was like Mario and Luigi kissing?
Yeah, I do.
Like, it wasn't really Shigeru Miyamoto, but he was like, please do not do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like the genie is unfortunately kind of out of the bottle in this stuff. It's people they have it at their fingertips. They can make whatever they want and put it out there, and there's just no way to take it
there's
back.
that one GTA Mario one too, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're so good. I know exactly what you're talking about though with the movies. I did see some of that floating around this week and was curious because like even today I was swiping through Instagram and saw like recommended costumes for Halloween this year.
Yeah.
And the Pikachu one came up and I was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, if anybody is gonna try to put a stop to this stuff, it will be companies like Nintendo, like Disney, that will want to protect their characters. So we'll see how that develops. But it is always good for a laugh now and then. And then finally, we've got out this week. We've got Spindle coming to the Switch 1 on October 13th. We've got Just Dance 2026 edition, also on the Switch 1 on October 14th. And then we've got Pokemon Legends ZA for both the Switch 1 and Switch 2 on October 16th, as well as the Mega Dimension DLC. So that's a weird one, right? It's listed as that release date of October 16th, but I think it's just the cosmetic stuff. I don't think like the actual content comes out now. I think that's going to be like early next year. And then we got Lumo 2 on the Switch 1 on October 17th. So not a huge week, but some interesting stuff. I think Spindle was that the Zelda-like that I was looking at? I'm not sure. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that. But there you go. So, okay. So we've done a lot of different topics on this show already. And we definitely jump around. And I felt like last week I spent a lot of time talking about Xbox Game Pass, which, is true. And so I wanted to do a very Nintendo-centric topic this week. I told you that. And so I proposed that we come up together a definitive Podcast No Power list of the 10 games every Nintendo fan should play in their lifetime at some point, right? And of course, for the sake of discussion, we need a couple rules here. Okay. So I propose that we only do one entry per series. And we discussed 2 exceptions to that rule. But there are maybe some more that I feel like we should work out here on the air.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
I'll throw out the other rule while we're here before we get too far from it. And that is that third-party games are going to be okay for this list, but I want it to be stuff that either launched on Nintendo or has some history with Nintendo. You know, like a Mega Man you associate with Nintendo, but just because Final Fantasy VII or Metal Gear Solid's on Switch, like I don't put that in the same category. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay. As far as the one per series thing, the ones I brought up to you, and I don't feel like this about most series, but I think we should split up Mario and Zelda as 2D and 3D entries. And I want to know where you're at on that.
I don't know, because I think there's a lot to be said about, like, do you think that the experience for or maybe bring it back to the root here. So, because the whole thing is what each Nintendo fan should experience in their life, right? Top 10 games every fan should play.
Yeah.
So the experience of a Zelda game, like if we were to pick one for a series, does it matter if it's 2D or 3D? Like, does that part matter for the experience of it?
When you raise that point, I kind of thought about it, and yeah, I think for Zelda, I think maybe we keep it as just one entry, because I think about something like A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, and you're right, they're different, but they're kind of fundamentally the same kind of experience. And I feel differently about it for Mario. Because I look at like Mario 64 and like Mario 3 or Mario World, and those to me are two very different video games.
Right.
With different goals and different, things they're trying to do. So it's kind of where I'm at with that. But I feel like if we Mario shouldn't be the only exception. So I feel like if we're going to do one Zelda, we should also do one mainline Mario.
Okay. I mean, I'm cool with including both. I just felt like 2D and 3D, to be clear, because if you asked me, does it impact your experience? I think so. Yeah, it does. But does it, like, when we're talking about, like, because the way I see this is the top 10 Nintendo games every fan should play. I'm thinking a Nintendo experience, experiencing that franchise. Like, if I picked one Zelda game, what would I pick? I don't know that I would pick it because it was 2D or 3D, but it's so hard though to choose for other people, because when you try to recommend a game to somebody, you almost have to think about what captures their attention. And like Amanda, for instance, couldn't play a 2D Zelda. She doesn't give a fuck.
That's fair. Yeah.
But when you're talking about like Nintendo games every fan should play, like, I'm thinking how big Nintendo is. Like, I don't even know how to. I feel like I prepped for this, and like it just falls out. Like, I just don't have it when we start recording. But it's like, it's bigger than Zelda. It's bigger than everything. It's like, if I had to put together a list of 10 games to show somebody what Nintendo's all about, these are the games that I would put in this catalog. And I don't think I'd be thinking about if it was 2D or 3D, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think that's fair. I was kind of thinking about this too, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to go back and forth. We're each going to throw a game up there. We'll end up each providing 5 games. And I was thinking about that. Like, as we get to game 7, 8, 9, I might look at this list and be like, it's missing this.
Yeah.
So even though it's not necessarily one of my, and a lot of these picks too, they're not necessarily my favorites. In some cases, but I do think they're important, or maybe kind of cover a broad aspect of Nintendo.
Yes, so I think that's a good preface. I'm sorry if I cut you off. If you were gonna set another.
So kind of the last thing is to just kind of spice it up a little bit. Ooh. If I'll use a series here that we definitely will not mention because I don't want to give anything away here. But for example, if on my turn, we were doing this list for, hypothetically, like for PlayStation, and I said The Last of Us, and you go, no, it's got to be The Last of Us Part 2, right? If we can only have one per series. So you see what I'm laying down here? So when we inevitably come up with a Zelda game, one of us, and the other one feels like, no, it needs to be this one, we can contest that, and then we'll hash it out and see where we land on that.
I'm interested if that's going to happen. Oh, man.
I am too. I mean, I think there's gonna be stuff we agree on here, and I think there's gonna be stuff we don't.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question. In the same way we were talking about kind of blowing up the series a little bit, do you want to extend the contesting to even games that might just occupy like a different kind of thing? Whether that's so if I were to put down a 2D platformer, and you're like, I don't want to use another spot for a 2D platformer, but I think I have one that's better than that one. Do you want to do that too, or?
Ooh. I don't mind. I don't mind. We could be a little
Okay.
loose with it. That's
Sure.
okay.
I
Yeah.
would want to stay kind of in the same category of game there, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that kind of is a fun way to do it. So how do we want to start this off?
Did you bring a quarter this time?
I have a digital coin again.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right. You want to call it?
Yeah. Tell me when to call it.
Go ahead.
Tails.
It is heads.
All right.
All right. Oh, open board. A lot of good options here. So
Can I actually give you, just before, I feel like
Yeah.
we're about to dive in, and I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to give you a little bit of perspective as how I looked at this.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Okay, so in my head, okay, I'm trying to almost pitch Nintendo. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm looking at someone in like my perspective. I'm looking at someone, maybe they're young today, and they're like, Jordan, my God, I'm so interested in playing Nintendo games out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What should I play? So I'm very much kind of forcing the perspective of, this is a person that's of an age where they can digest the content from Nintendo, but are probably not my age, maybe,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah, no,
Or maybe they are. Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Actually, I think my point would still stand even if they were the same age. Just somebody who'd never experienced it the way that we did. So they weren't around to have the nostalgia goggles on like we might sometimes. Yeah. So I'm going to, like you said, I think that some of my choices, I think, align with things that I love, but I very much have some things that I have not mentioned before.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I should actually probably talk about why I was thinking about this as a topic.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, around this time last year, Nintendo released Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake on the Switch, right?
Yes.
And that was like one of those like legendary Nintendo games that I had never played all the way through and really, wanted to experience. So I did it there, and it was great. And so that kind of got me thinking, like, what are these kind of, these white whale Nintendo games that I, as a Nintendo fan, haven't played that I should? And, thankfully at this point, there aren't too many of them. And I had another one just the other day that I can't remember now. But do you ever have those where it's like, this is a game I've been hearing about for 30 years and I just have never, like, I've never beat Earthbound. I should. I think
it's funny that
you
say Earthbound, because that's the first one I thought about when you said that. I was like, because I've tried to play Earthbound like 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's kind of what got me thinking about this. So, I guess it sounds like Earthbound's probably not going to be on our list, but that's okay. So having won the coin toss here, I'm going to throw a game out that I don't think you are going to suggest, nor I don't think you're going to contest. Okay. But I do think every Nintendo fan should play this game. And this was a really hard one for me because you know how much I love this series. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really had to make a choice here. And I'm going to nominate Metroid Prime. And the reason I went with Prime specifically, it's of the 3 Metroid Prime 3D Metroidvanias, I think the first one is the most iconic. It's probably the most straightforward. Like 2 is awesome, but I think it's at times can be a little more obtuse than the first one. And the reason I chose this over things like Dread and Super, as good as those are, I think there are a lot of good Metroidvanias out in the world. There are not a lot of good 3D Metroidvanias. So I wanted Metroid Prime there. It's like a definitive GameCube game for me. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to throw out there. Easy, kind of easy bacon right off the top. But
I think you made a good choice with that, because although Metroid Prime wasn't my bread and butter,
sure.
It was still beloved by many people.
Of course.
And it did very much earn its spot into like a lot of people's homes. So
yeah.
Based on how much I've heard about this game, I have played a little bit. I had a lot of close friends who really enjoyed it. I think that's a solid choice, especially to represent the Metroid series in the list, because I do think Metroid belongs on this list.
Yeah, I mean, it invented a genre that we still talk about, right? Like, it should be here in some capacity. I truly believe that it is one of the best games Nintendo has ever published. Like, it's up there. So wanted to give it its flowers right off the top. You don't have to worry about me taking up another spot with it. It's done. What do you got for your first nomination? What was that?
My first nomination is not related to the comment I'm about to make, but there is one franchise I'm pretty interested to see where we're going to align on it.
I think there are a couple places where that could happen. But yeah.
Okay, so my choice is maybe the first time we're going to have this clash.
Okay.
So I'm going to come out of the gate. This is not one that you've heard me bring up, but it is one that I love.
Triforce Heroes.
Now, you remember how I told you how I thought about this? I'm trying to get someone who's never played. They don't have those nostalgia goggles on.
In. Yeah.
I'm going with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I thought Pokemon might come up. I of course do want to contest that.
I figured.
So on the way I did this, I looked at different series and I kind of listed the things I think could even maybe have a place on this list. And I only wrote down one Pokemon game, and that was Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Oh,
I think the definitive Pokemon experience. It still has the pixel art. The Pokemon follow you. It uses the DS's dual screens perfectly. It's just there with the info you need. Like, had the Pokewalker if you wanted to do that and get your steps in. Like, come on. But I will admit, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are very underrated games, in my opinion.
Dude, severely underrated.
Yeah.
In so many different ways, because it has, I have some notes on my screen here because I want to make sure I hit some specific bullet points. We've got the nostalgic music. That's big. Obviously it's the remake of Yellow, which is why I chose it, because if I could, I would love for people to play Red, Blue, Yellow, right? The originals, because there was a magic to that for us. But like, if that wasn't the time, I can't really recommend you go do that, because I can understand that it just may not capture your attention in the same way. And that's respectable. Let's Go Pikachu obviously is much more modernized, but it has all the same ideas. Like you mentioned, the Pokemon follow you. It's very easy to get the hang of if you're new to the Pokemon franchise. It's got a lot of familiar faces. There's just, and then the mechanics as well, battling, everything works in a way that you'd want it to if you were a fan of the series. And I thought about Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I was just thinking, like, if I was truly trying to get somebody into Nintendo and I was coming up with a game that they need to play, they should play this one because of how rooted it is in Pokemon.
And honestly, I think I'm willing to concede this one, because like you mentioned, it's a remake of Gen 1, which is awesome, because you're right. I did have that thought. I'm like, should I put Red and Blue here? And I thought, no, it's too obtuse. And same thing, honestly, with the original Gold and Silver, I feel like are too difficult to have a person play now for the first time. But you're right. It puts you there. I probably wouldn't concede this if you had said Fire Red and Leaf Green, because I do feel like Heart Gold and Soul Silver are better remakes than those.
Yeah.
But Let's Go, you're right. It has all the nostalgia. As simple as the art style is, it looks great.
It looks
you're right.
Great.
It still has battling with trainers. Doesn't have the wild battles, but that's okay.
Right.
Takes the capture mechanic from Pokemon Go, which people love for a reason. Still going strong.
I have to say that was the weakest mechanic for me, but it's okay.
I would agree. I don't love that element of it, but it doesn't take away from the experience. I think I'm willing to concede that one. I think that is a great entry point for someone new to Pokemon and new to Nintendo.
Right.
So let's write that in there.
I hate how constantly I think about how to interpret this, because I'm also thinking like top 10 Nintendo games every fan should play. I'm like, they're already a fan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I guess you're right. That's why I didn't even consider this one when I was thinking about it. But it makes sense. If
Yeah.
someone, especially someone modern, I really didn't take that into account either, and I probably should have. That if we're trying to get someone into Nintendo now, we should, as many of these that can be on the Switch or Switch 2 as possible. That's probably better, right?
I know. I really did. I don't want to spoil it. Most of my choices, I think, are
Yeah.
going to be newer titles.
Yeah, I'm not going to make that like a hard rule for me, but
Yeah,
you're right. Like I probably should have considered that a little more. But I guess most of these are on Switch one way or another. So, okay. These are a solid start so far.
It's a big start.
Okay. 8 games to go. We've taken out 2 of the biggest series right off the bat, so that's good.
Should we go after the other 2 big ones and just get them out of the way?
Oh, there's only 2 big ones. Okay. All right.
The 2 bigger ones.
Okay. So, okay, well, I'll tackle one of them right now. And I'm going to nominate Super Mario 64.
Okay.
All right. And again, similar to the Metroid conversation, I don't think there are a lot of great 2D platformers. But there again aren't a lot of great 3D platformers. And I think Mario 64, as much as I love Odyssey, and we talked about DK Bonanza on here, like I think both those games are great. But if I wanted to introduce someone to the concept of a game like that, I think Mario 64 is still the game. It's just iconic. It's easy to grasp. It's easy to progress through. I think if we're talking mainline Mario, as much as we talked about how I prefer 2D Mario and all that stuff, right? Like, yeah, I think it's Mario 64.
I hate that I agree. I do. I hate it. I hate that I agree. But because I thought about this one for a long time. I was like, if I chose a Mario game, which Mario game am I choosing? And I knew it was going to be a 3D. Well, actually, let me hold my tongue because there's a little bit something I want to bring up later. But
Okay.
I knew that I wanted to talk about 3D Mario, and I was really tied between Odyssey and 64. Now, I don't know if you did this to yourself yet, but I'm gonna lay out some right now.
Okay.
So do you remember the year that this game came out? Mario 64?
I remember the year. I didn't play the game.
The year is all
but
that matters.
Yeah.
Year is all that matters. So 96.
Yeah.
Okay. Or 98? Sorry, am I wrong?
96. Yep,
96.
Right. Yeah.
So how old were we when we were really into this game, do you think? Like, I know I could probably speak for both of us and say a young age, right? Probably kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah. So it would have been probably 2 years after it came out for me. So yeah, I was probably 7. Yeah.
And then we looked back on this game fondly. How long would you say? High school? 2008.
I still look back on it fondly.
But I mean, like, how do I say? Like, I should say this. You would look at it in a group of people who maybe aren't gamers, but they would go, "Oh, Mario 64, what a great game!"
Oh, sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, I would say definitely through our high school years, late 2000s, probably.
Sure. So like 7-8 years in.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know when Mario Odyssey came out?
Yeah, 2017.
I'm looking at these kids, man. Mario Odyssey is their 64.
Is it though?
It is a little bit.
Do they talk about Odyssey the same way? I don't know, but like,
I don't know. I'm not a dude. I don't know half the things these kids say these days, but like, I gotta wonder, like, the kids that are into Mario, are they talking about Odyssey how they talk about 64? I have to imagine, yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and I'm sure if we were kids when we played Odyssey, it would have been that much cooler, right? Like the idea that you can possess all these different enemies and things, and all the secrets and all the stuff to find. We would have had a great time with that.
Because like, to me, because I was like, if he brings up 64, do I try to contest it? The final answer is no, because I agree with you. I think that it's a staple. the mechanics, like it's the founding father of those Mario 3D games. Like you can't fight it. It's still good. The platforming, like you said, it's still
really
fun.
Yeah.
Like it's still challenging. But I can't help but think about getting somebody into Nintendo. I would have to recommend Odyssey, I think, in most cases, because of how much more up to date it is. I think the platforming is just as solid. I really do.
Okay.
But it doesn't hit that same point for me. It just doesn't hit that same place for me. So it's hard to recommend. But ultimately, because 64 can still stand up so strong, I think it has to be the one that's on the list.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I do think Odyssey is a better video game. I like it a lot. But there is just a magic to Mario 64.
Yeah.
And being one of the main games that got me into Nintendo, I think I gotta put it here.
Yeah, I think so too. Sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm wearing those goggles or not, you know?
Yeah. Well, we'll face that more as we go, I'm sure. But are we cool keeping
yeah, 64.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm going to get the other one out of the way.
Okay.
And
Kid Icarus.
Which one? Pilot Wing 64.
There you go. Yeah.
I want to go with a Zelda title.
Okay.
Now,
I'm so deeply curious to see which one you pick. Really.
To be honest with you, this is I'm having that same moment where we are having to decide on the Mario stuff right now, because once I say it, it's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure that I 100% believe in whatever leaves my mouth, because I'm so stuck between two different ones.
Okay.
And I'll just say them out loud, the two that I'm talking about. So no, I gotta settle on one.
Yeah, I want to know which one you are.
I gotta settle on one. You're right.
And then I'll tell you what the other one is.
I think Wind Waker.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like Wind Waker. I like it a lot. I often call it my favorite video game of all time. And it did make my list here of Zelda games, but it's kind of the one I thought I would fight the least hardest for.
Now, did you go 2D?
No, I think if I were to pick one, there are really two that I would contest. But I want to, of course, shout out Link to the Past. Great game.
Uh-huh.
But I think for Zelda, I've gotta put Breath of the Wild.
I knew you were gonna do this.
I wrote down Tears of the Kingdom instead of Breath of the Wild.
Wait, you'd go Tears?
I think I would go Tears over Breath of the Wild. I think Tears is a better. It does everything that game does, but has a better story. Is just kind of more. There's more to do. I think of the two games, I would recommend that one.
No. The reason, because I thought about Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was the other one I was fighting with, even though, in the back of my head, I had Ocarina of Time in there too, rattling around, because I'm thinking this is the foundation of Zelda. This is how we, like when it just like Mario 64, when it made its way into the 3D space, there were, we laid out the temples. We had the Zelda formula. We laid it out. And this is how these games are going to be played. Like this is, when Zelda logic came into play, this is kind of what created that for everybody.
Yep. And
then I'm thinking, okay, so Ocarina of Time did that. Could I send somebody back and play Ocarina of Time? Yes, I think Absolutely. I could.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any problem with doing that. But when you talk about a game like Tears of the Kingdom, now we're introducing a little more lore. There's a little more mystique there. It's more interesting, more pretty. So I totally follow that. But when I recommend Wind Waker, I'm thinking, okay, so it's a little more up to date. It's got a little more of that Zelda formula. And it kind of explains, I guess they all kind of do that. They all kind of explain that lore there. But because it was so close to the original formula when we were still getting those, I don't want to say cookie cutter Zelda games, but when they were all still kind of that fashion.
Yeah.
it was one of the games that tried something new, which I think Zelda is all about. We're always trying something different. I even thought about Skyward Sword, the HD remake, because I'm
That's a
thinking,
great
you
game.
know, yeah, it's a foundation, it's the very first of the story. But
Yep.
I thought that Wind Waker did an excellent job at showing that creative. It had that weird Zelda stuff, the characters, like the weird characters.
Yeah.
Interesting way to travel the world. The music was fantastic, but again, showcase that formula. So I just felt like Wind Waker was the choice, but I hear you on Tears. I just wonder, is this how you get someone into Zelda over Breath of the Wild? I guess even,
Looking at it that way, I think the answer is no. I think if you want to get I think you can really get into those two games, but I don't know how much you're going to want to go back to anything before that, right?
Yeah, that's
When
fair.
we've mentioned Collie's niece on the show before, and she loves those two Zelda games. She's dabbled in, especially the ones that are available on Switch, but like, it's not the same. Like,
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are her Zelda games, which is cool, Um, I of course I'm going to have a very hard time arguing against the Wind Waker. I've talked on the show about why I love that game so much. Like, I think it's the perfect showcase of like the artistry of Nintendo, both visually and from like a musical perspective. You're right about the gameplay. It refines the combat of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I think the items are very interesting. It's got real dungeons, which is something Breath of the Wild does not have, and that's part of why I stayed away from that one. It's got quirky characters. That game also has a great story. Yeah, I'm okay having Wind Waker on this list, I think, as the Zelda representative.
It's hard. It's hard to say though, because like I totally agree with Tears of the Kingdom. I just wondered to myself, like, does this do a good job at representing Zelda in this list? Like, could someone get fall in love with the Legend of Zelda series with this game? Is that enough? And I wonder, that's what I wonder.
I mean, again, I think from my own experience, it's the Wind Waker. If that's the metric we're going by, like,
I know, but I think we both thought about this a little differently, and it caused us to be so different in our answers.
Yeah. And honestly, with Zelda, you couldn't go wrong, right? There are so many
Yeah.
good answers, right?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Majora's Mask. We haven't talked about Twilight Princess. Minish Cap. There's so many different ways we could go. Yeah, I don't know. I would be happy with either Wind Waker or Tears of the Kingdom here. I would be happy with Ocarina of Time here too. I want to throw that out there. Like,
I know, I would too.
One.
It's just that I could not tell when I was thinking, because I took way too long to think about Zelda and which one I would put on this list. And Ocarina of Time is always the first one I think of. And I think we both agree. I think we've even talked about it in this space before. It's just, we both love that game. Like, I have so much love for that game, but it is so hyped at the same time, it's overblown. I can admit that. And I'm a huge fan. Does it deserve to represent Zelda on this list? Maybe, but if I'm going, hey, Nintendo fan, you haven't played this game, you haven't played these games, here's the ones I recommend, I don't think I'd throw them back to Ocarina unless they played Wind Waker or Tears of the Kingdom, like we're talking about, Breath of the Wild, and they're like, God, I love Zelda. It's so interesting. I'd be like, have you played Ocarina then? And if they were like, no, I'd be like, get back there and play that. But it wouldn't be the first one I recommend. I think Wind Waker has enough of that unique, it draws you in just enough to be like, oh, I'm a Nintendo fan, I'd be into this.
Yeah.
To sell them on it and represent Zelda well.
Okay. I'm willing to give you Wind Waker here. I have no problem there. I don't
mean to stall. It's just a big choice.
I was hoping you would pick the Zelda game because I had a hard time going between those two.
I did too. I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. Solid list so far. We've got Metroid Prime, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, Super Mario 64, and The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. And again, it's kind of subconsciously, you can play all 4 of these games on a Nintendo Switch too. So there you go. I am curious, and I think we could just leave the entry as it is, but if console hardware was not an issue, would you recommend someone play the original version of Wind Waker or HD?
You said if the fidelity wasn't a problem.
No, like if getting a if the person didn't have to get a Wii U to play HD, which is kind of the hurdle, which version would you recommend?
Honestly, I'd recommend HD, just for the pure fact of those quality of life upgrades were really warranted.
I do think they go a long way.
Yeah. And I mean, it was gorgeous. They did such a great job at bringing that game back to life. I would have to recommend the Wii U version, unfortunately.
I do love the way the original looks. I will say that, but yeah, you can't go wrong with HD. I would love to see that on Switch. Hopefully someday. Okay, so you're right. We've kind of got through the big 4 here.
Yeah.
So now I've got to put something on here. There are a lot of ways I could go with this.
There are.
Okay.
Now, should we say out loud a couple things we have left? We've got, like style of game, I should say, like RPGs on the table.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Outside of Pokemon, we don't have any RPGs.
Yeah.
We do not have any 2-dimensional games on the list.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, crazy for a Nintendo list, but we'll get there, I'm sure. We don't have any racing games. We don't have any party games. We don't, there's a lot missing here. But I do think I'm going to occupy one of those spaces, and I'm going to suggest Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now, I assume this will be contentious. I do.
Okay.
But okay, I think like I just said, like a Nintendo list needs a 2D platformer on it. And if we're taking Mario out of the equation, which I think there are some obvious answers there, I think you're really kind of just left with, in my opinion, 3 options for what could be here in that representing that 2D platformer from Nintendo. And that is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country 2, and Yoshi's Island. I think outside of that, I think, we don't even really need to consider other 2D platformers. In my opinion, you might have some that you want to throw up here. But yeah, I wanted Donkey Kong to take this spot one way or another. And I do. I think Tropical Freeze is more approachable than DKC2. We obviously had a rough time playing it recently since the show has started. And not that it's still a great game. It's still awesome.
Yeah.
You get to actually play as Donkey Kong in this one, which I think I think that goes a long way. I like the worlds. I like the levels. I like the bosses. I think it's fun that there are 4 different playable characters in that one. So that's my pitch for Tropical Freeze, but let's hear it.
I think that's a good pitch. And I think that based on that pitch, I agree. And that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you could definitely make a case for 2, right?
For 2, yeah. And that's the one, that's exactly the one that I would push for. The nostalgia goggles want me to say the first one because of the experience with that one. But I would agree. I think Donkey Kong Country has to take it for platforming because I think building a case for Mario would obviously be very easy based on how many choices we have there. But something about Donkey Kong Country was just a little more iconic and it just had so much personality. So like going and choosing that franchise to represent platforming, I think there's nothing else better. Yeah. And I think with Donkey Kong, with Tropical Freeze, that modernized touch that it has, and then not to mention the difficulty it can bring later on in that back half.
Yeah, I think that goes a long way for me. Like when you're comparing it directly to Yoshi's Island, that's what I like out of the Donkey Kong Country games in general.
So I agree, because it's a little more modernized, easier to get people on, and you can still kind of bring people on that bandwagon maybe that aren't as willing to maybe go back to the Super Nintendo, even though they should if they're real Nintendo fans.
Of course. Yeah. No argument there. So, okay. Cool. That went easier than I thought it would. I thought that was going to be a big problem. So what do you got? What is your next, your third pick here?
My third pick. Man. I've got two weird ones, and I'm trying to decide which one to go with first.
I got a lot of weird ones. I could go in so many directions. I feel like I like our list so far. The top half of our list is great, but I do feel like we need some, not even weird, but just off the beaten path picks here.
All right, I got one for you then.
Okay.
I want to go with Bomberman 64.
Whoa, okay. Why?
Now here's why. So Bomberman 64, little challenging. Have you played through this?
Never through it. I think, does it have a multiplayer mode? Is it that one?
Yes, and that's my next piece. So Bomberman 64. And I had to look hard into this one too, because I did play this one quite a bit growing up. But Bomberman 64 not only has its single player campaign, but it also has a very fun multiplayer game. And I feel like we're not representing that multiplayer space yet.
You're right. We haven't. And here really, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like it had a lot of character for I almost just said online multiplayer. Oh. Had a lot of character for that that couch multiplayer with four people, and it was a versus mode. So essentially, they had all these different like levels you could pick from, and all the levels had these different I guess you could call them like multipliers for when time would kind of run out. Like it would have some kind of devastating, like world-ending situation, some natural disaster type situation that would start happening to the level. To kind of make it harder for you to kill each other. And it was so much fun. And, they were just so different. So it was a lot of fun to play with people, but also that campaign was kind of one of the first times outside of those big franchises that I experienced a story, very, albeit simple story, that introduced a ton of different characters and, interesting, diverse worlds to play through as Bomberman. So it was one of those smaller titles, but I just feel like it brings a lot to the table. The music also was fantastic. It was one of those first games to bring in that like super weird drum bass music to Nintendo games,
Yeah.
And it was a ton of fun. So I think that would be a great experience for any Nintendo fan.
Okay. This might surprise you. I do not have any Bomberman games on my list here. So I don't have anything directly to contest it with. And honestly, I don't feel strongly enough about anything to contest it. Like, I could throw out some names as far as, because you're right. I think local multiplayer, when you're talking about Nintendo, is a big deal. And I think you could look at games like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and things like that. But I don't really want to. So
yeah,
I think we'll leave Bomberman on the list here.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
Cool. That's wild. That's a wild pick. Did not see that coming. I'll be honest with you. Okay. Okay. That really threw me off. Where do I go next?
The thing about this, I just want to remind everybody that this is I don't know that our choices are going to be everyone's choices. You know what I mean? Like
they're supposed to be everyone's choices.
No, I understand that, but I mean, like, if someone was like, I wonder, because here's the thing, though. So maybe they are, Zach. Maybe they are, but this is what we're telling them.
Yeah,
that we think. our list is.
Okay.
I don't know that Joe Schmo off the street's going to be like, you got to play Bomberman 64.
Of course not. You're right.
But we're
But if the
recommending
goal
it.
here is to take someone who is not a Nintendo fan and have them play these 10 games,
Mhm.
and we either pass or fail based on whether or not they want to continue being a Nintendo fan.
Mhm.
I'm just saying. I hope you're confident in Bomberman 64.
I'm pretty confident, man. It was a good time. I mean, my next choice, I think, is more well loved. I think if I led with that one, we'd be on more on the same track.
Okay.
But
I don't hate it. I'm surprised. I did not expect a Bomberman 64 mention, which is really fine. But I do think I want to get man. There are so many different sides of Nintendo, and it's like we're not gonna cover them all. We're just not in 10 games. So I don't know if I want to use one on this or not.
I know. I feel like I'm gonna regret if I don't have some of these. I don't know if.
What are we gonna do here? Because now I feel the pressure, right?
Yeah, we've knocked out a lot. We're in the back half.
I know what I want to pick, but I feel like it's not going to go over well.
Let's talk about
it with you and with others.
Okay.
So what I want, and I'll start with this. There is a softer, more approachable side to Nintendo that I want to make sure is covered here, and that's like that. That's a I wouldn't pick that necessarily, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Is this the way that Nintendo can be innovative in a way that brings people in who might not otherwise want to play these games? And I think the best example of that for me is Wii Sports Resort, specifically. Okay. Now, Wii Sports, of course, great game. You know, you got your bowling, tennis, baseball, boxing, and golf. Resort takes that. I believe it has all of those sports, maybe not baseball, I don't know, and then adds a bunch more to it, uses the Motion Plus, so it very much realizes that, like, what the Wii was, pitched as. And I think it's such a great game to play with people who don't necessarily play these games. And like you said, Nintendogs kind of occupies a similar space. I think a lot of different games in Nintendo's catalog occupy this space, but that's what I'm looking at. Do you concur?
I'm actually kind of surprised that you thought I'd fight this, because this is a staple. We both know that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I felt like a Wii game had to be on here. One of the Wii series games, and that's the one, I think. I
mean, the Wii craziness of there was a woman drowned for the Wii. You know what I mean? Like, drinking so much water. Like, the Wii was extremely sought after, and Wii Sports was huge.
Of course.
We played Wii Sports for fun in our friend's basement.
Yeah.
At an age you would think, why would you play Wii Sports in your friend's basement? You know what I mean? Like, it was big. I think that this is absolutely a staple. I think you could play the Wii Sports Resort music in any building, and you're going to have at least 15% of the people are going to be like, Wii fucking Sports.
Right.
So no, I agree with you. I think that's a great choice.
Okay, cool. I'm happy. I'm reminding myself here what games are included. I loved the sword stuff in that game because it controlled so well with the Motion Plus.
Yeah. Oh,
it has
man.
wakeboarding, which I don't remember at all. Frisbee, I do remember doing that quite a bit. That was great. Archery.
I remember us all playing the sword game, and it was like High Noon. We were like,
yes, yeah, yeah. So it's got duel, speed slice, and showdown modes for the sword play element of it. But yeah, you got bowling, you got air sports, the parachuting and piloting, and there's a lot there. Now, I love that.
I have my next one.
Okay.
And this isn't the one I was referencing. I'm really split on referencing the one I wanted to say because of how close it is in gameplay to Mario 64. So I'll save it maybe to the end. I'm wondering if you'll think about it too.
Okay.
But I want to go with something that we decided. I don't remember if we came to this conclusion on the podcast or not, but we did come to the conclusion that these even though Mario's been brought up, these would be okay bringing up.
Yeah, we made a couple exceptions, so I figured I wouldn't bring them up unless it came up. So
okay, and I'm thinking Paper Mario.
okay, the first one.
Yeah, I think the first one.
Yeah, so one of the things we agreed on is that the Mario RPG games, we should consider its own thing outside of the mainline Mario games. But I made the argument we should lump them all together. So the Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and Mario and Luigi. So
Yes.
okay, so the original N64 Paper Mario.
Mhm.
Now, no problems with that game.
No problems with that game. Obviously, it brings in the RPG element. It's one of the very first, alongside. Well, not alongside. It's after Mario RPG.
Yeah.
But it's one of the first, and it's one of the more interesting. I don't want to say interesting entries, but it was a different idea. It was the first of its idea. And it started a lot. It started, I mean, obviously, I don't know, how many is it? 4 or 5 different Paper Marios we got after that? There's Sticker Star.
Yeah, so after that, we got Thousand Year Door, then Super Paper Mario, then Sticker Star, then Color Splash, and Origami King. So there are 6 total. Yeah.
So it started a whole thing. Obviously, it worked.
Yeah.
And going back, the reason I chose the very first one is because going back, it holds up totally fine. No problem.
It does. I'll give you that.
It's challenging. It's interesting. It's funny. The writing is good. I felt like the progression was really good in that game too. I felt like even for a 64 game, I don't like how I said that, but I think you'll know what I mean. But even for a 64 game, I feel like the way that it kind of built a world for you felt pretty big. Like it felt really good. It did a lot for its time. And then again, always got to mention the music. The music was fantastic. So all around, it was a cozy RPG for me. And it started a whole lot of something, which is how I felt about Mario 64. So I felt like, okay, we'll go back to the N64 instead of going, Switch Thousand Year Door remake. That was my thought process with it.
Okay. I love Paper Mario 64. I love Thousand Year Door and Mario RPG more. I do think Mario RPG would not be what I would want to introduce someone to these games with, right?
Kind of what I thought too. It's a little weird and not in a normal way.
Yeah. And Thousand Year Door, I think, is great. It's approachable. There's obviously a great new way to play that game. But, I mean, I think it'd be very easy for someone to overlook the N64 Paper Mario just because of how iconic Thousand Year Door is.
Right.
And I agree that it is definitely one of the best N64 games. It definitely has aged the best of the N64's library. I don't really want to fight it.
Okay.
I think I'm cool with Paper Mario 64 over Thousand Year Door, even though I probably would have put Thousand Year Door there. I don't see why we can't start someone with that game. So, okay. Cool. I don't have to worry about that.
I feel like we should have some honorable mentions once we're done so we can talk about the games we didn't bring up.
Looking at what I have left, I almost want to do like the stuff for like the next level. Like you've decided you're a Nintendo fan and now you want to peel back that onion one more layer, right?
Okay.
And you want the good stuff that like maybe isn't for beginners, but is that, but okay. So we've got 2 spots left. I have 1 pick left. And there are a bunch of different directions I could go with this. I think I am going to... I wonder if this will surprise you or not, that I'm going to do this one. But, we kind of talked about... This is a little different than my argument for Wii Sports Resort, and that's that Nintendo has... There's that approachable side, but there's also a very quirky side, where they're not afraid to do something weird as long as it's fun. And there are obviously a lot of different avenues for them to explore that. I think Mario Party is great for that. Rhythm Heaven is great for that. But the best example of it is WarioWare.
I
And
knew
so I
it.
specifically am going to put up WarioWare Gold,
Okay.
which is kind of the definitive, it's one of the last 3DS games. It has a ton of mini games from across the series, because it was very hard for me to pick which one on here. But yeah, I think WarioWare Gold is going to be my final pick here. And I know you recently have been playing the original WarioWare, so
yeah, I think that I think WarioWare deserves a place on the list because of how fun and quirky. Because I mean, when I think about Nintendo, I equally think about those when I say Game and Watch, I don't mean the classic Game and Watch, but I think about
Sure.
like the Game Boy Game and Watch
Yep.
games.
Yeah.
And WarioWare was like a callback to that in a way of these small mini games that are really funny and quirky. And we need to have something very quirky and very Nintendo, and WarioWare is very much that.
Yeah, it's quirky. It's very gameplay focused. It's mostly I would consider it a handheld series, and we don't have a ton of handheld games on here. I don't think we have any. Well, Pokemon. So yeah, I wanted to give that a shout out just because I feel like that's definitely a sore spot on the list thus far. So you've got the hardest job of all though, because
I hate this.
You have to fill spot number 10.
I know.
So you have to look at this and find the deficiency.
I've got like 4 or 5 different games that I'm rifling through right now. So the spot that I would like to fill is a spot that we haven't filled on this list.
Okay.
We've gone back a little bit. I think we've gone back where it's appropriate. I think that for me, Bomberman 64, Mario 64, and Paper Mario were warranted to kind of go that far back. Metroid Prime goes back, but not as far back.
Yeah.
I want to go a little bit further to the roots and go to the Super Nintendo.
Okay, I'm curious what you have there.
And I'm thinking about filling a space we haven't filled yet, which does deserve a spot. I've never brought up this game to you before, but it's a game I've enjoyed with family and friends, and also on several other occasions. When you go to those barcades, you'll kind of run into these type of games I'm going to bring up, and I kind of want. I can't believe I'm going this way, but
what are we doing here?
I'm wondering about going the Battletoads and Double Dragon.
Oh my god! Okay, okay.
Huh. And the reason, not only is that one of the hardest games I've ever played in my life,
yeah,
but it's also extremely iconic, and it fills that arcade space that we haven't touched. It was one of the first experiences I had with a game that was extremely frustrating.
Okay.
And I think we don't talk about it an awful lot, but I think that it deserves a place because of what it provided in that Super Nintendo space, but also what it did in that arcade space. And and I mean, it represents the Super Nintendo really well. So that'd be my choice. It kind of shows the relentless side of Nintendo that provides you an unrelentless difficulty. But also, if you were to boot it up today and just play it, it looks great because the Super Nintendo obviously is robust and it holds up super well.
Yeah.
And then it shows that other side of Nintendo that, it's not like the other games we have on this list. It's much different. Provides a different style of gameplay. It's not a platformer. It's...
You're right, yeah. It's interesting to me that Nintendo, I can't think of an example. Nintendo hasn't ever done like a first party brawler like this, have they?
I
don't think so. Nothing's coming to mind.
No, nothing's coming to mind. Well, would you say like... Before I say something stupid, let me Google this. I'll just say it. I don't give a shit. Chrono Trigger?
No,
or not Chrono.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger's like an RPG,
Yeah, Chrono Trigger. What am I thinking of? What am I
which I
thinking
considered
of?
for this list, but
Um, Run and Gun. What am I thinking of?
oh, like a Contra?
Contra. Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Contra's different too. I think that's more of an action platformer kind of
Yeah.
Mega Man-y kind of. But yeah, there aren't a ton of these. Like you think about games like on the Sega, you had like Golden Axe and stuff, and then in arcades you had Ninja Turtles and X-Men and
Mhm.
The Simpsons and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's interesting that Nintendo didn't really dabble in this themselves. But okay, it's a great game. It's a fun game. It's
Mhm.
hard.
It
Um,
is hard.
I played it via Rare Replay on the Xbox when
Oh.
that came out. That was my first experience with this one. So
Honestly, so we had it around the house. My sister and my brother-in-law like it quite a bit, but I didn't give it the most time of day until the
okay.
SNES Classic came out.
Oh, it's on that one. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you if it's on Switch Online. I know at least one of the Battletoads games is.
I'm pretty sure this was.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't on the Classic, so I must be thinking of something else. There are two different versions of Battletoads that can be played on the system. Battletoads and oh. No, maybe it wasn't the SNES Classic then that I found it. I can't remember how I don't remember. I must have just stumbled upon it one day and was just playing it then. But it was probably within the last 7 years. I remember finding it and being like, okay, I'm going to
Okay.
give this another shot in my older age.
Yeah, I know one of these. Yeah, play Battletoads Double Dragon on Switch Online. Looks like last year they added it.
Oh, maybe
So
that's where then.
yeah, so that's a good way to
Or
do it.
one of the places, I guess. Yeah.
So running down our list of the 10 Nintendo games every fan should play. And I like this because I feel like we branch into places where people might not go on their own. So I do like that. So top to bottom, and these are in no particular ranking. These are just the way we put them on here. So we've got Metroid Prime, originally for the Nintendo GameCube, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee for the Switch, Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, originally on the GameCube, but has a great HD version on the Wii U, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Wii U and Switch, Bomberman 64 on the Nintendo 64, Wii Sports Resort on the Wii, Paper Mario on the N64, WarioWare Gold on the 3DS, and Battletoads and Double Dragon, originally on the SNES and arcades, and now elsewhere if you want to play it on Switch and things like that. How do you feel hearing the list top to bottom? How do you feel about this list?
It's weird, man. It is weird.
It is weird.
Not,
it got weird. It didn't
got
start
weird. So can we talk about a couple of games we didn't bring up that I was rifling with?
Yeah. So even before we kind of get into the deep cuts, I kind of want to hear the ones you think are kind of what people are going to, when they watch this, they're going to be screaming, like, why didn't they say this? Like, what are the obvious misses here?
I wouldn't say they're misses because,
sure,
to be honest with you, like, I mean, I put some thought into this and I really it was hard because I have so much love for such a large amount of games, but when it comes down to the games I love the most, I talk about them a lot because I love them so much. And when we're talking about games to recommend to people, you know, a lot of those games are going to come back up, but I was trying to think about it in a different way, trying to kind of stray away from games that I kind of gravitate towards. And I did. But I mean, like, it's hard though, because I would love to recommend the games that I love the most, but then you're going to play a whole bunch of Zeldas and you're going to play a whole bunch of Marios. And that's just not the fun, because Nintendo's way more than just Mario and Zelda. And so when you look at this list, I feel good about it because we are representing a lot of different avenues of Nintendo. And could you represent it just as well with some other titles? Yeah, you totally could.
Of course. Yeah.
Totally could. Like, ours isn't going to be the best list. It's just the Zach and Jordan list, you know?
Of course.
Maybe you'll experience Nintendo in the way that maybe you'll see why we love Nintendo when you play these games.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I think that's just the thing. And when I'm thinking about games that, People are yelling, probably games that we were thinking about.
Yeah, I think of three. I think there are
Okay.
three that people are going to be surprised aren't here. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I know.
So
I
any Animal Crossing,
know.
but I think that is the definitive one. I think everyone, of course, loves the one they started with. I really like Wild World. I like New Leaf, but I think New Horizons is kind of the definitive. Like, this is the one. And so I do. I think a lot of people are going to be like, why didn't you go with that? And I know, at least for me, I went in a different direction with that kind of casual,
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I went the Wii Sports Resort direction instead. So, I definitely thought about it, but didn't quite make the cut. I think Mario Kart 8 could have made this list in a different life. But and I think it's definitely Mario Kart 8 of the Mario Karts. But honestly, I think Bomberman 64, like, that was my argument, right? Like, it is a co-op multiplayer game, not co-op, but you know what I mean, like a couch, like, multiplayer game. And I felt like with Bomberman there, Mario Kart just didn't have a spot. As much as I love Mario Kart, and I think it's iconic.
Mario Kart is iconic. And to be honest with you, does it deserve to be in the spot of Bomberman 64? Maybe in some ways, I think so. But I think that... What's that?
It's not the way it worked out. That's
no,
what happened.
Not the way it worked out. And I mean, with Mario, and that's the thing, when we open the Mario Kart box, dude, it's hard because that's a whole nother conversation. I mean, I think we've dove into this in different perspectives a couple of times because Mario Kart 8, we talked about Mario Kart 8 versus Mario Kart World, or Mario Kart Double Dash versus Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
And because in this conversation, I think I would argue Mario Kart 64 over Mario Kart 8, even personally.
Interesting.
Just because I don't feel like the multiplayer in Mario Kart 8 represented what Mario Kart 64's did. I think Mario Kart 64 had these iconic courses. They offered a bunch of different dynamic when it came to the multiplayer.
Sure.
And it was just so interesting and fun to me. But that's a whole other conversation,
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the games I was thinking about was like Kirby Superstars for the Super Nintendo.
So, I felt like you might bring up Kirby. I did not write any Kirby games down. Not a single one. But I did think that Superstar could come up, which is why I kind of held back on the 2D platformer thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I probably would not have put Donkey Kong up there had Kirby made the cut. But yeah, I know you like Superstar. You know what I was just reminded existed the other day? Superstar Ultra for the DS. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remake they did? Yeah, I saw that like on Marketplace. I was like, I completely forgot that this existed.
I actually played that the week that I was telling you I modded my 3DS.
Yeah.
I was looking through all my cartridges. I was playing that a little bit. And what am I thinking? Kirby though wise, there's Superstar, and then Nightmare in Dream World 2. That was also another good one. Nightmare in Dreamland, sorry. On the Game Boy Advance. I played the shit out of that one. But didn't make my top list. I think Superstar, I decided to not mention it because that's definitely one that I'm seeing through the childlike lens where I just had a blast playing it. But when you go back, you realize it's not a very long game and it's not as captivating, but I did really love it. Still love it. You know what one I really wanted to bring up that I felt like you would agree on, but I think we might also both agree on me not bringing it up. Banjo-Kazooie?
Yeah, so I only wrote down 3 third-party games. You have mentioned 2 of them. You mentioned Chrono Trigger and now Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, Banjo is probably my favorite N64 game, but I can't put it on the same list as Mario 64.
Exactly.
I can't, right?
That's exactly why I didn't bring it up.
I do think that is the more iconic Nintendo game.
It is.
But I mean, Banjo's great, and Banjo, I think, does so much more with character and kind of world building than Mario 64 does. And it's You got a lot of cool moves you can do, and yeah, I love Banjo-Kazooie. Excited to play ukulele hopefully this weekend.
Yeah.
To kind of get that vibe again. But yeah, I did write that. I didn't feel like it had a spot here. Once I kind of knew I wanted to put a Mario game here, and I knew I wanted it to be 64, which meant unfortunately Banjo was out.
Yeah,
So,
I know. That's what I was rifling with. When I was talking about Bomberman 64, that was the other one that I was thinking of, honestly. And I also, so Donkey Kong 64. I know 64 is making its way here a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's for a good reason. I think that when we talk about Donkey Kong 64, and I think based on how our Donkey Kong podcast went with Bonanza, I feel like you'd probably disagree. But to me, Donkey Kong 64 was superior to Bonanza because of the world that it built. The world building, I think, was much better. I even think that if you'd call it combat was way better. It was a little more dynamic because I felt like I had all these different moves with the different characters.
Yeah, definitely.
But the big thing was the fucking multiplayer, dude. That was sweet.
Yeah, the multiplayer was a ton of fun in that game. You're right. There's no denying that.
So I wanted to bring that up, but the reason this kind of cements why I brought up Bomberman 64 is because the gameplay for Bomberman 64, is different than Mario 64. It's not a platforming game necessarily, but it's so much more. There's a lot more puzzling that happens with how you kick the bombs around, if you make it big, keep it small, how you throw them. Like there was an element of mechanic that was different than 64. But when I was thinking about Donkey Kong, I'm like, well, sure, I'm fighting and I'm not Mario and I'm jumping on them. And it's different, but it's still so similar. So that's why I opted to go Bomberman instead of those two other titles,
Okay. I get that. And like we've talked about, I mean, just the way we went about doing this, I mean, it was destined to happen. We were going to, include stuff that we might not have otherwise. We were going to miss stuff that we, might again seem obvious to people listening. The last big one I think we didn't touch on at all, it never came up, was Super Smash Brothers.
I know. Yep, that's another one I have.
And I mean, I have two written here. I'm sure you can guess. They're Melee and Ultimate. Right? Yeah. And I truly don't know which one I would recommend to somebody who hasn't experienced either of them.
I have to go Ultimate, I think.
I think so. And that's kind of my argument for a lot of these, right? Like why I would pick Mario Kart 8, why I did pick WarioWare Gold. Like it's just this comprehensive, like, look at what that game is. And I think Ultimate obviously has a ton of stages and all the characters in the franchise. Like, but Melee does have a very specific feel and like tone that is very cool.
Yeah.
And
it does.
So I don't know. But yeah, I just, again, kind of the same logic as Mario Kart. I just didn't feel like it had a spot without, kind of stepping on the multiplayer toes of the couple multiplayer games we picked. So as far as we talked about, kind of peeling back the layer a little bit, do you want to do that or do you want to save that for another time?
Peel back the layer?
Yeah, because I mean, I've got some games here that like I think Nintendo fans should play, but like not necessarily new Nintendo fans. Like if you've played these 10 and you want more, I've got more.
I've got more too.
You want to do that now?
What you want to do? Like you want to do? What about one each? You want to do one each?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me your very Jordan centric pick of what a Nintendo fan should play that they might not otherwise play.
Final Fantasy IV. Or excuse me, Final Fantasy IV. Super Castlevania 4. Jesus.
Oh, okay. I was like, Super Castlevania 4. Okay. Huh. Why?
Why?
It's not a bad pick, not a bad game. I'm curious.
Okay. So this is a little bit of a nostalgic pick. Okay. I'm going to admit that a little bit. But the thing is, so Is it a platformer? Yes, but it's different.
Yeah,
And it's also extremely challenging the way that you're moving. So
definitely.
it's obviously 2D.
Mhm.
Um, but the levels have layers to them, and the way that you traverse the levels, you got your stairs, you got to hit your diagonals just
Yep.
fucking perfect
Yeah.
to get up those things. But the combat is very much a mix between timing and your whip. So like when you're moving, you have to distance yourself from the enemies, and the timing has got to be impeccable. Not only that, but so you have your traversing, but you also have your nice boss battles,
Yeah.
um, which are also extremely challenging. I really enjoyed Castlevania growing up, and it's got that creepy feel to it. Love the music, but again, it's that difficulty. It's the difficulty that gets me. And I mean, it was hard to choose between this and Super Ghouls and Ghosts,
Yeah. Yeah. Same kind
because
of vibe though.
that's another big one that I love. But
Yeah.
I just felt like if I'm talking Nintendo as a whole, I feel like Castlevania, it's just another one of those games that explores a popular type of game, but does it different enough that it's worth checking out. Because, you know, tons of, when you talk about platforming games, and we're talking nowadays, you have your Mario, Donkey Kong, Super Meat Boy, like there's all kinds of these other platforming games you can think of.
Yeah.
But you just, when you go back to the Super Nintendo, you got these ones that do things a little bit differently and introduce a difficulty that's controlled by something that's different than the other ones. That's different. It sets itself apart, and I
Right.
just feel like Castlevania does that really well. So I feel like it's worth bringing up.
So I'm looking. I don't think that one's on Switch Online, right? It doesn't seem like it is. Um, which kind of makes some sense. It's in the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which I do have on Switch, and um, I like that there are so many Castlevania games on Switch.
Yeah.
Not the one I want, not Symphony of the Night, but all of the rest of them. So that's cool. But that's a great pick, and yeah, one I probably would have overlooked for the same reason. I kind of mentioned stuff like Mega Man. You mentioned Ghouls and Ghosts. Like there are these kind of iconic NES and SNES games that we just kind of pass by now, which is a
Yeah.
bummer because they're great games and they deserve to be remembered and kind of talked about in the same way as some of these other greats. Um, yeah, I like that pick. It's a good one. Okay, for my kind of off the wall pick, I'm gonna go. So there's one first party series that I feel like is as Nintendo as they get, and I bet you probably already have an idea of where I'm going with this. And I don't feel like anyone else does anything even remotely close to this, and when they try, it's never as good. And that's the Pikmin series, specifically Pikmin 2 is what I'm gonna go with. There was a game I played a couple years ago that maybe it's is this what I'm thinking of? No, it's not. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Pikmin is just it's it's peaceful, but it's frantic. Um, it's
Yeah.
simple, but it's gorgeous. Like,
I feel like you're
um,
writing an Alanis Morissette song right now.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, exactly. It's just yeah, there's something to it, and obviously, what I like is that all four Pikmin games kind of are all pretty distinct in how they feel.
Yeah.
Like the first one is very much like you have this time limit and you need to figure that out. You have 30 days to find your parts and get off the planet, or you start over. Like that's the game. And then two is all about like, hey, we've got these crazy dungeons and you need to make as much money as you can to pay off your debt. Three kind of brings back the time limit thing, although it's never really as stressful as the first game is. And then four kind of is more similar to two in that you don't have like a hard time limit and it's just like explore shit, find shit. And that one does get very tough, but so does two. And I do. I think two is maybe the definitive one I would have people try. I guess I could make an argument for four though. And I think the ports on Switch of both one and two are excellent. So if you haven't tried Pikmin 2, Give it a try.
Nice. That's a good choice.
Yeah, these were fun. I like this. I like the list we came up with. You literally you can't go wrong with any of these 10 games. Like, you will have a good time playing these 10 games.
I'm glad that you're including Bomberman in that.
I am. I wouldn't have put it here, but I have the handful of times I've played Bomberman 64 with you. It's a fun game. I
want it to go on record and say that also Bomberman 64 is not nearly my favorite Bomberman title. But
no, what's
Bomberman, Pocket Bomberman for the Game Boy. Oh my God. That game rips. But I just felt like this game belongs on the list.
Okay. What's the other N64 Bomberman?
Hero.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. No love for Hero?
Love Bomberman Hero. I just don't feel that it's the same experience.
Okay.
Like, independently, I like Bomberman Hero more, but Bomberman 64, it just gives a different experience on that like single player campaign and that it just has that whole package. Bomberman Hero doesn't have the whole package. Yeah.
I get it. Well, we would love to hear from you guys out there what your definitive 10 Nintendo games every fan should play would be, what you think of our list. Maybe if you haven't, try out a game from this list. You can, contact us at Pod with Power on Blue Sky and Instagram and Threads and TikTok and anywhere else. I'm Zachary Davis. That's been Jordan Carlson. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.